Today we'll be talking about absolute value and distance in the coordinate plane. Okay, so we are finding the horizontal and vertical distances between 2 points. Okay, so A and B, notice they are both at -2 on our x-axis. So if we look at our ordered pairs here, we have -2, 2, and we have -2, -1. Okay, in order to find the distance, I can just count the spaces between these 2 points. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But on this one, notice that actually 2 spaces represent 1. Okay, so really I have 1, 2, 3. So it's really important to pay attention to what your axis is labeled here so you can count correctly. Okay, so the distance is 3. We can also see that because if we look at how far away 2 is from 0, it's 2 away, right? And how far away is -1 from 0? That is 1. So we can use the absolute value, okay? And we'd add them together when they're on opposite sides of our axes. Okay, so we've got one positive and one negative. So we would use the absolute value and add them. Okay, and you can check that by seeing, okay, it is 3 away. 2 plus 1 is 3. Okay, so the distance here is 3 units. All right, now let's take a look at number 2 here. Okay, again, our axes, each 2 represents 1 space. Now this one, B here, is plotted at negative, or is plotted at 1.5, okay, as your x value. 1.5, 3, okay, and A is at -1, 3. Okay, so again, I can count. I see 1, 2.5. Okay, so I counted 2.5. Let's double check it with our same rule we used before. So the threes are the same, so we can ignore those. And then -1 is 1 away from y, and 1.5 is 1.5 away from y. So 1 plus 1.5 is 2.5. So we get the same thing both ways. Now, sometimes you may not be given a graph, and so adding or subtracting, we'll see an example of subtraction here in just a second, may be an easier option. Okay, so when they are on opposite sides of the axes that we're finding distance between, we use the absolute value and we add them together. Okay, and number 3 and 4 are similar, so you could try those on your own. Okay, now number 5, notice H and I, they are on the same side of the y-axis. Okay, so your ordered pairs here are -2, 3, and -0.5, 3. So again, paying really close attention to what my axes are labeled to know their points, okay? So the threes are the same, so we're not finding distance between those. We're looking at our x values here. -2 and -0.5. Now these are on the same side of the axes, which means we are going to find absolute value and subtract. So 2 is 2 away, and then -0.5 is 0.5 away. So we are going to subtract 2 minus 0.5, and you are going to get 1.5. So the distance between them is 1.5, and we can see that 1 and then a half, 1.5. Okay, so your distance between these 2 points is 1.5. So when they're on the same side of the axes, we subtract them. Again, using absolute value because distance is always positive. Okay, these ones are on opposite sides. Okay, so you can, again, take your axes. We've got 2, 2 for this guy, and 2, -2. Okay, so x's are the same. which means they're across the x-axis, and then we're finding how far away is positive 2 from negative 2. Well, negative 2 is 2 away from 0. Positive 2 is 2 away from 0. So they are 4 units apart, okay? Because again, they're on opposite sides of the axis, so we are going to add them, okay? Now S and U is on the axes, okay? So that puts us at 1, 0 for that ordered pair, and 1, 4 for this order. Oh, actually, this is at 1, it looks like 3.75. It's not on that line. It's not on either line. So this is actually 1, 3.75. Okay. And again, the ones are the same. So we're finding distance between 3.75 and 0 on same side of the axes, okay, or on the axis, right? So really you could do this either way because one of them is on an axis, okay? Because the y value is 0, you know you are still on the x-axis. You haven't moved off the x-axis. So if the y value is 0, you're on the x-axis, and same would be true the other way around. If you have a point on the y-axis, that means your x-axis is 0. Okay, that point that I've got there. Okay, so here we can add or we can subtract. Either way, you're going to get the same thing. 3.75 plus 0, 3.75 minus 0. The distance between those is 3.75. All right, now what if they don't give you the coordinate plane? Okay, we're going to have to look here and see, okay? A, we have negative 3, positive 2, and B, negative 3, positive 3 and 1/4. So we're not going to worry about our x values here. We're going to look at our y's. Now, they're both positive. That indicates to you that we are on the same side of the axes. When our signs are the same, that means we're on the same side of the axes, which means we are going to subtract them. Okay, so we have 3 and 1/4, 3.25, minus 2. That is going to give you 1.25. So their distance is 1.25. Again, same signs means you're on the same side of the axis. Same signs, same side. Okay, hopefully that helps you remember. Okay, this next one, we have 5 2/3 and 5 2/3. So we're not going to pay attention to that right now. We're going to look at the axes that are opposite. Now we have negative 2 and positive 2. Okay, opposite signs, opposite sides of the axes, which means we are going to use absolute value and add. So the absolute value of negative 2 is 2, so it's 2 away from 0. Positive 2 is also 2 away from 0. Add them, and we get 4. Okay? We add them, and we get 4. We're taking the absolute values. Okay? Do one more together. So we've got same side, so -1, -1, and then we have positive 0.5 and positive 3.5. Okay, again, positive, positive, which means same signs, same side. We are going to subtract. So 3.5 minus 0.5, or 3.5 minus 1/2 gives you 3. So they are 3 units apart. All right, there's a couple more for you to try on your own.